What is going on, everyone? So with the 1.07 update, as we all know, we have gotten tons of nerfs and especially buffs for the martial arts. And if you play even an hour of this game, then you'd know that for the most part, the majority of the martial arts weren't the greatest. Not saying all of them were bad, there were just a lot of that were pretty mid, let's be real. So if you didn't know, I upload Wolong content daily and have been going over a lot of these changes from the patch notes and testing everything out. So be sure to subscribe to the channel as we go over more changes over the upcoming days. But anyways, as you can tell, we're kind of focused on martial arts at the moment because a lot of them got huge changes that we need to go over and find out which ones are finally viable. But if you want to check out some of the patch notes, I already uploaded a video on all of them going over everything, so that will be linked down below. And if you guys want to check out any of my other videos that I've already posted, maybe I already uploaded the specific thing you wanted to see. But anyways, tons of martial arts skills got well-deserved buffs such as adjusting hitboxes and even having hit stop adjustments, but others got way more love than just that. For example, the martial art that we're going to be going over today is known as Heaven's Divide. Basically, it's just a baseball swing move. You do a large charge up and then swing your weapon doing huge amounts of damage. Now, this in itself was never really worth using. The damage output on it was super high, but the long charge up just completely ruined it. Most of the time you just kinda get hit out of the animations, so it was kinda garbage to use. Now with this current buff, it doesn't necessarily fix that, but it does make it a lot more interesting for PvP. Basically, it made changes so that players withstand enemy attacks, excluding critical blows of course, while their key veins are showing, meaning while this move is now charging up, you cannot be knocked out of its charge up animation. It gives you hyper armor, which to be honest, is very powerful, but does this change make it so worth it over just increasing the speed of the attack like they did with C-Split? Well, let's go over that right now. So this change is definitely more focused towards PvP rather than PvE. And so, what do I think about this? Honestly, it's really hard to say. It's hilarious being able to hyper armor through opponents' attacks and then bonk them on their head watching them get one shot. But realistically, this is more all about timing and the opponent that you're facing. For example, if an opponent is a more aggressive player constantly trying to attack you, then this change is absolutely amazing. You just charge up your swing as they charge at you, and then you just hit them through their light spamming basically. In those instances, it's extremely good. But most players I've noticed, the second they see that startup animation, then they just start backing away, so then I just sit there looking like an idiot swinging at absolutely nothing. And of course, like in my other videos I made going over the C-Split changes, make sure to go check that out in case you're curious about that huge buff. My whole idea was to try and get my opponent out of spirit and then hit them with the Heaven's Divide martial art. But the speed is just way too slow to be able to catch players. Except if you deflect a martial art and it puts them out of spirit. So if you didn't know, whenever you deflect an opponent's martial art or spirit attack and it knocks them out of spirit, they actually have a longer recovery time than usual, so that does give you enough time to actually be able to swing the attack and knock them on their asses. So as you can tell, this martial art is very reliant on your opponents kind of being basically dumb. Once they just swing willy-nilly at you, and then the ones that just spam martial arts, then that's fine. So obviously, against better players, the chances of ever actually utilizing this martial art is pretty much non-existent. So that's the worst part about the martial art, that it's just too reliant on how your opponent plays. Regardless though, this hyper armor addition is still crazy. Even if it's not something that's going to be super meta, it's still something extremely fun to use if you're just messing around and still want to bonk people and send their corpse flying. There is one really weird thing about this though, and that is that the damage is sometimes inconsistent. The reason I say that is because 99% of the time, I hit someone with this and then they just insta-die, right? But I did get a couple clips of me hitting someone with it, and for some reason it only did about 80% of their health. But then I realized I didn't have overpowered burst, that one spell that makes it so your martial arts hit twice as hard, and then I was able to hit the same enemy a second time, and it only did like 30 extra damage. I don't know what causes that, but it still happened a couple times, so I thought I might as well bring it up and mention this to you guys in case you know what causes it, or in case this is a normal occurrence that you guys should watch out for. In PvE, it's probably best used for killing smaller mobs, but overall, there's so many better things to use over this, and I can't see it being very useful for bossing. Even though it does high damage, that hyper armor isn't going to outtrade a boss's entire attack. So unless they speed up this attack in the future past, just use C-Split for PvE. Trust me, it's just this but 10 times better. If you're curious about the build I was running, then I actually had on 30 fire to be able to use the overpowered burst and amplified damage spells to be able to hit like an absolute truck. 70 earth because that's a high stat that the weapon scales off of, and it also helps us wear this heavy ass armor. And then 49 metal because once again, this scales very nicely off of our weapon. The armor we're gonna be running is the full Lubu's armor, aka the Flying General armor, for the set bonus that gives us 11.4% more martial art damage. Along with the embedments in your armor and weapons that give you more martial art damage, then that is all you need to be able to go smack around some children in this video game. Overall though, this is a great change and makes this very enjoyable to use, but to me, I would personally just avoid this martial art unless in the future they add the speed to the attack up. There's so many other ways to one-shot players more reliably, so this one sadly just doesn't fit in all scenarios, only against aggressive and dumb players. But that's going to do it for me, everyone. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this hyper armor on this move now. Do you think it's good, or will you just prefer a buff that gave it more attack speed on it? Anyways, I'm heading out now, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the rest of these clips and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.